Hello, dear listener. A quick note. We originally recorded this episode as an Instagram Live before we transitioned to more professional sound equipment, so the sound quality isn't as good as more recent episodes. We hope you still enjoy. Hello again, dear listener. We're back with the final part of our two-part series on self-talk, why it really does matter for our own mental health and well-being, but also how it affects our world around us, both positively and negatively. If you haven't listened to part one, by the way, make sure you go check it out too. We're two childhood best friends talking about creative mindset.
I'm Emily Hatch.
And I'm Carrie Schaefer, and this is Honestly, Dear Listener.
Honestly, dear listener.
Woo! Emily and I were talking about, because we're weird. And we've known each other since we were 11. We were definitely, I feel like, the weird kids in class that just thought everything was hysterical and would just be laughing all the time. And it's interesting when you start doing a podcast, because when you've been as friends as long as we have a rhythm ourselves in our friendship. But then having a podcast of people listening to us talking is very strange, because it's like adding a third person. And you have to discover who you are with a third person in the room. And so we're trying to discover who we are. And so we want to add in a little bit of weird, because we're weird and it's fun.
I'm like busting with weirdness, and I feel like I sort of like let a little eke out in the podcast. But you guys, those of you who know me know I'm joking all the time, and I'm a weirdo. And I have this fear that we start doing the podcast and suddenly we become those ladies that are like, oh my God, how profound. Everything is like, you guys, like,
yeah,
I won't want to do that anymore. You know?
Yeah. Yes.
And things are profound, and we do need to hear things, but we're artists and we're weirdos, and that's just it. So we're going to talk about the follow-up to our self-talk thing from a couple weeks ago. But first, I want to tell you something that is important to me. This week, I finished a tub of like greens, like salad, like an adult. It was an arugula and spinach mix, and I finished it. And do you know that in my entire adult life, unless I've like made a big salad for other people, I have never myself finished one of those. I don't know if you guys relate to this, but I will like buy it, and I'll be like, I'm going to make myself a salad a few times this week. And I make one, and then they just rot. And you know, the spinach, it's like at the bottom, just like black.
It's like goopy, brown and green goop.
Yeah. And this time I did it. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope that really motivates you in your greens journey. In fact, your husband helped motivate that for me, because he was standing in your kitchen when I was there, just like eating it out of the box like it was potato chips or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, goals. I want to love arugula that much.
I don't know. He's so amazing, because he is one of these people, and I don't know anyone else that does this, but he's one of those people that's like, wow, I know this food is good for me. I automatically love it just by knowing that it's good for me. And he's like, oh, I don't like the way that sugary bread thing makes me feel. I don't like it anymore. And I don't know what that's about. I'm like, wait, do you really not like it anymore? Or is it just like, and I think he has this amazing ability over his brain. I always tell him he eats like a 400-pound rabbit, because he'll seriously have like, and I'm talking the box of lettuce, and he'll just stand in my kitchen, like you just said, with a fork, and he'll like sprinkle some salt and pepper on it and like a little bit of oil, and he'll just eat it. And that doesn't ever sound good to me.
No, I feel like if I didn't know him, and you told me this before I finished my box of greens, so that now I have some sort of like understanding. But if you told me that, I'd be like, that sounds like a miserable person.
Yeah.
But I know him, and now that I finished my box of greens, I feel like rejuvenated.
Okay, so I've got a weird one.
Okay.
This is our weird time. We've decided we're going to do a little bit of weirdness at the beginning of the show just to get in the mood for talking about self-talk, which is its own weird. Okay. So one time, this was years and years ago, I was maybe 30% of the way through my spiritual deconstruction. And I went to this ladies' retreat. If you have not grown up in Western Pentecostalism like we did,
Lucky
ladies' retreats, yes, way to go. Yes. So I went to this ladies' retreat and we went around the circle and it was like a get to know you kind of a thing. There were maybe 20 of us. And we're sitting around the circle and the prompt was, say the most interesting thing about you. Well, my brain is just like exploding. I'm like, I could say this, I could say that, I could say this. And my thing is like, I am going to blow all these people out of the water. Mine is going to be the weirdest and the most interesting thing. And it 95% of the time turns out like that. And I love it. Except this time there was this lady. She was maybe 55, 60. Really, I'm doing air quotes, normal looking. Like there was nothing like shocking or anything about her. And so it gets to her turn and she's like, well, my name is, we'll say Denise. My name is Denise. And the most interesting thing about me is that I pee out of my belly button.
When I tell you, Emily, the most, I was half feelings of awe and wonder and had the most intense feeling of jealousy that I have ever had in my life.
Yeah, so Denise totally one-upped me. So much so that I don't even remember the
Tidbit that I told about myself. And then they were wanting, like, this is what I don't understand about people. They wanted to move on to the next person after that. And I was like, stop the presses. Wait a minute, Denise. I'm going to need to know more about this peeing out the belly button thing.
The most interesting thing about me is that I want to know more about it.
Yes, exactly. And long story short, I mean, it was a medical thing. Like she had some kind of like urinary tract cancer. I don't remember. So yes, there's that. So they were able to reroute her urinary tract to her navel. And so she was like, yeah, I can like go into restrooms like when you go into the convenience store bathrooms or whatever, and I just lean over the sink.
My mind, 10 years later, a decade has gone by. My mind is still blown. My mind is like, Denise, you have no idea what you did for me in that day.
I feel a little guilt for laughing so hard.
I know what you mean.
I didn't want to hear the story because I was like, but when Kiri was like, it's about pee, I was like, mine's about salad, so either you. Anyway.
Denise, if you're listening to this, please just know, like, I am a supporter of you. I am so excited for you that you get to pee. Your pee locations are so much more unlimited than the rest of ours are, and I champion and I celebrate you.
And you, congrats on having the most like weird thing about me
Yes.
champion story of all time.
Yes.
So
Yes.
wow.
So anyway, that's what I have to contribute. So Emily, how has the self-talk been going? Tell me about it.
Well, I didn't write anything down, but I was starting to say last week that I did really notice that it's probably like 15% good. 15% like, yeah, you got this. And like 85%, what's wrong with you? You idiot. So I feel that if I had checked in, if I was able to check in with my self-talk maybe a year and a half ago, it would be like 3% good. So thank you to my therapist, Tara. It was amazing. Yeah. What about you? Tell me what yours is like.
The last couple of weeks have been a little bit rough. If you know me at all, you know that I have some headache issues. And so I'm kind of dealing with a little bit of depression, which is weird because that's not generally the door I walk through when it comes to mental health. I generally walk through the anxiety one. But I think when you have chronic pain and it's definitely getting to those levels, it does tend to affect your mental well-being. And so along with the depression, I have had a lot of like, are you really that much in pain? Are you faking? Are you? Like all this gaslighty stuff. And I'm trying to like be like, whoa, okay, yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but also like, yeah, this is real. Like I'm not gonna gaslight myself on this stuff. And so that's been pretty hard. And also the self-talk is when you're dealing with mental health issues, a lot of what at least I end up hearing is, this is your new normal. This is it. Your life is not going to be different after this. Welcome to how things are from now on. And I have to keep saying, nope, I've been through mental health issues before. I know how this works. So I'm really grateful that I'm at least recognizing that this is mental health stuff, probably due most likely to pain. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of like constant crying, crying about everything. Like I went to parent teacher conferences today and I cried a little bit over my second grade's son's teacher's dog that she had to put down. And I was trying so hard. I was like, blink, 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 blinkety, blink, blink, to try and be like, no, I'm not crying. No, like I'm an adult. Like adults don't cry. And, and she was like kind of looking away, I felt like, and like trying to give me my moment of like, okay, you're good. It's cool. But I was like, Carrie, what are you doing? And then I'm just like, I'm a human.
Yeah. So. You are. I'm first of all, and you know, I've said to you, I'm so sorry that you're going through all this. I know that, you know, you've got some on the horizon pathways to hopefully come up with some solutions. And but I'm really proud of you for recognizing it and also being like, it's okay to
thank you,
not be okay right now, you know. And also recognizing gaslighting yourself. Like I feel like we do that all the time. I mean, I've noticed that the more I pay attention to things, like I've noticed that I hear a voice inside my head that's telling me those things, or like, I think people think this about me or whatever. And it's literally never been anything anyone ever said. It's totally my own self-talk being like, you're this and you're this, when literally no one has ever said that to me before. It stopped me from accepting myself. It stopped me from like making things and all that, because it's been like, wait a minute, I'm not being a friend to myself right now. Like, I'm actively, you know, I think tuning into that voice and paying attention to it is when you can start being like, wait a minute, maybe let's cool it on that. Or I acknowledge, as we've said before, like I acknowledge that you're here. I think that motivation is to try to help me somehow. Like in your case, that voice is trying to tell you like, you could probably just power through this. Right. And I think that is still probably a positive voice trying to be like, it's not that bad. You've got it. Thank you. But I can be like really sad about this right now. I can be like pissed off, you know, and you're moving through it, you know? So I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks. It was really hard to get out of bed a couple days this week. And And we don't want to, I don't want to move my body when I'm feeling low, but I did. And I have every day this week, I've gotten out and walked at least a mile or 30 minutes around there. And I think it's helping. And so I think if I can just keep doing that and just take it a day at a time, but also I feel like if I'm not producing every day, I feel like, well, what are you even doing? You're not even proving that you're worthy. So like what, it's that whole thing again. So I'm trying to understand and really let it sink in. Like your whole thing is not to produce. Sometimes you can just lay down and that's okay. So, yeah.
Yep. Well, I'm proud of you. And
Thanks.
that is producing. You don't have to, like, that is part of making life.
Yeah. It's still forward movement, even though it's sometimes that's so weird. Sometimes forward movement looks like sitting still.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's growth internally.
Mm-hmm.
That's important, good stuff. The constant crying, it's hormones. I don't know what happens, but I go through periods of time that I'm like, this is ridiculous. And it's not even like based on depression for me. It's like, I don't know, my student saying something beautiful. I lose it. I just can't. Like, I have been in public places I've been on the subway thinking about that if this happened. This is weird. I wasn't on drugs or drunk or anything. I was sitting on the subway and I looked around and I thought, all of these people in here are somebody's baby.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I bet their moms are proud of them. And I started crying on the subway by myself.
Yep. Yeah.
So, actually, okay, I have to tell you guys, yesterday, there was one moment of your crying that I just personally thought was really sweet. We are on Marco Polo, and I adore it. I adore Carrie. And I was writing an article for focalpedagogy.com, if you want to check it out. And I've been on the computer so much lately that I was wearing blue light glasses that are pretty absurd. And I answered the Marco Polo, and Carrie sent one back, and she had tears in her eyes, and she's like, I'm crying about your glasses right now. They're so cute on you. And I was like, first of all, I'm sorry that you're having a weepy day if you don't feel good about that. But that was like the sweetest little tear situation. It was like,
y'all, at some point, I hope she pulls out the glasses for one of these episodes because they look so good on her, and it moved me. And here's the deal about crying: like it's evidence of things moving you, and being moved is part of being a person. And getting to and it's evidence that life is happening and it's impressing upon you. And so I will take that. I will take crying over your glasses any day.
Me too. And and thank you. I when I bought them, I was like, it was 2020. Remember 2020? Oh. The year when we all discovered that we get really intense headaches if we're on our computers for too long.
Oh, yeah.
So I bought those glasses then. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I had those. Mm-hmm. And I was like, these are a weird choice because they're really thick rimmed glasses.
They're awesome.
Thanks so much.
Hey, we put a poll up about self-talk. It was really interesting because most people, I think that the questions were, what's your self-talk like? And then the answer was pretty good. And then it was like mostly good, but sometimes not good. And then mostly not good, but sometimes good. And then not good. Most people were in the mostly good, but sometimes not good, which I thought was really interesting and kind of surprising. And way to go, dear listener.
You guys are doing better than me.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm definitely in the not good category, but recently after therapy am in the mostly bad, but a little good. And so I'm just glad that you guys are like, I talk to myself really nicely.
It's awesome.
Holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah.
I wonder if a lot of them have been to therapy, because that's when I discovered that I had a self-talk issue. I don't say that word that way. Just now I did.
I liked it.
Thanks. That is when I discovered that I had an issue, and I started monitoring after that. And it's interesting because I think a lot of us don't realize the way we talk to ourselves until somebody else brings it to our attention. You know?
Yeah.
Basically this whole podcast is just one big commercial for therapy,
where we don't tell you who to go to.
No.
It's not a commercial for us.
No,
It's just like, y'all need Jesus. Like it's a go to therapy.
Go to therapy. Yeah. I've learned so much from therapy. Anyway, so the self-talk thing, have we said everything we want to say about it?
I think so. I think it's really interesting to think about, and this could come out shamey. I just realized, but I don't mean it that way. It's interesting to think about what things we would have done in our lives if we hadn't talked ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
And so many people, like, so I teach singing, right? And so many people come to me after, you know, they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s, and they say, I always wanted to sing. Like, what stopped you? You know, usually somebody said something weird to them a long time ago, and then since then they've accepted that as the truth and just don't.
Yeah.
Or, you know, so it's like they're really self-limiting beliefs. What would you have done if you hadn't talked yourself out of it? One of my relatives was like, I could have done all this and I could have done all this, and I'm like, why couldn't you and why can't you now? You know, because
why can't you now? What is this whole 50? And now that I'm 50, I can't do I've heard of people going to medical school like in their 60s or 70s. They're like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, why can't you?
Why can't you right now? And usually it's a self-talk.
Yeah.
Herman, hi, how are you? I miss you. I'm just reading this comment from Eamon.
Yay.
I started reflecting on how I talk to myself and about myself in college, and it's amazing what a difference it can make. My best friend and I make each other say 10 nice things anytime we say anything negative about ourselves. I love that. That's amazing. That's such a good idea. Oh my God. I wouldn't have time. I mean, I think like if I had to say something, 10 nice things, if I said something negative, I might just like spend my entire life trying to rectify that. What a good tool.
Seriously.
It's and so many of us are like, could I find 10 nice things to say about myself?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good challenge.
It is. Emily, what would you do differently if you hadn't talked yourself out of something?
Ooh, that makes me feel like the weeps. Let's see. I think it's hard. My immediate feeling is defensive. Is that weird? Like I've done a lot of things that I defied the odds. That's like my initial feeling. I think I would have said you to the idea that I wasn't right for something and just gone and auditioned for things anyway and gone and put myself out there anyway and said, hey, I can do that. I want to try that. I can sing these songs. I can, I think that I probably would have sang more.
And you're talking, when you're saying like audition for things, are you talking about musical theater?
Yeah, or I mean, even like shows or like, TV, or maybe like go to more open mics and play my original music. One thing that I tell myself a lot is that I'm not a good enough piano player to sing and play whole shows by myself. It's not true. Like, you don't have to be perfect. And I've played some weird shows with my piano. I feel like I could have been a little more self-sufficient if I had not told myself that story. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, one thing comes up. Okay, so I always wanted to play basketball. And yes, I know. I wanted to play basketball, which I know you also really liked basketball.
Why am I not? I never knew this about you.
Well, it's because it's kind of a shame spot for me. I showed up to, I think it was either 7th or 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade. To basketball audition, or not, whatever they're called.
Basketball audition.
When you're an art person going out for sports. Basketball tryouts. Is that what they're called? Tryouts?
Yeah.
Okay. So Emily and I went to this very small private Christian school, and did you play basketball in New Horizons? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I went to tryouts, and one of the really good girls that was on the team, who was tall and thin
and blonde.
No. Had like honey colored hair.
Okay.
Was a grade lower than us. She was really good at basketball, and she looked at me and she said, "You're never going to be any good at this. So you might as well go home." I am 5'0". I'm way shorter than her. I went home. I remember literally crawling. I crawled into my mom's car and started weeping because I was like, she's right. She's right. And I never went back after tryouts. And I never played again. So, like, I regret that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That makes me so sad. I didn't even know that.
I know. Well, it's a source of real deep-seated shame for me if I don't say anything about it.
Yeah. I mean,
if I don't tell the story.
So, really fast. In basketball, I just pointed to myself. I am basketball. In middle school, when we met, I was insane about basketball.
Yeah,
it was gross. I wore Shaquille O'Neal, like Orlando Magic jerseys to school. I had basketball dangly earrings that were like really annoying to wear, but I committed to those earrings. Like I used to do like one-on-one basketball with, I think, this girl, and she'd be Anthony Hardaway and I'd be Shaq and whatever. I was obsessed with basketball, and we were best friends. I had no idea that you. Yep. That makes me sad. You could have been the next Muggsy Bogues.
I don't know who that is.
Oh no, he was 5'3", and he played for the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay, well,
yeah, you could have just enjoyed playing basketball.
Here's the deal, though, about me is, and I think a lot of people relate to this out there. Like, I've talked to so many people that are like, oh yeah, like we stick to things that we know we're already good at, instead of going out there and doing something. Like, it's okay. And I'm just finding this out now, like, as I'm almost 40, it's okay to do something that you enjoy doing and not be any good at it. You can be rubbishy at something, and still it's worth doing because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And so it's not to dilute what you're good at. You should know, right?
Sure.
And this is something I struggled with. It's like, you should know what you're great at, hone those skills, like your art, the things you're trying to make money doing, and all of that. But having a hobby, you don't have to be like making a living off of your hobby.
Absolutely.
You can be the worst hobby car putter together of all time, but if you love it, you do it. Like,
right?
Play basketball, it makes you happy. I have a hard time when people are like, what do you do for your hobbies? Like, all my hobbies are jobbies. So like, normal people sing as a hobby or play something, and that's all my job. It's been hard for me to be like, what do I actually like doing? Because I have the same like illness that is like, well, I'm not good at this, so I don't want to play. Or that self-talk again, being like, you look stupid. Who gives a shit? I'm having a good time, you know?
That's right.
I just bought a basketball.
You did? Wait,
Literally
is there
2 weeks ago.
Where are you going to do that? You live in New York.
In New York City, they have parks that are really
do.
They're like this big. But you can go shoot hoops at the park.
And there's like go shoot hoops with you.
Come here and do it.
Well,
yeah,
sure.
there's like, they're a couple blocks away. Shoot that basketball. I just bought one because I was like, I miss basketball.
Yeah.
That you brought that up. And is there anything right now that you want to do that you're not trying to do for a job that you want? Like, is there anything you're talking yourself out of trying or doing because you're afraid you're not good at it?
Oh man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one, I think. What about you?
I think I want to be like active doing something. I want to dance.
Oh yeah.
And
That sounds so fun.
It's hard because, you know, as a theater person, you know, dance can also be like the gateway drug back to the thing that you do for a living. I'm not doing musical theater right now, or maybe I don't know when I'll do it again. So I struggle with that a little bit. I really want to dance though. I want to tap dance because I like to. I want to like do hip hop. I will never be a hip hop dancer, but I really want to do it, but I'm scared to be bad at it.
But you're a good dancer, Emily.
But thank you. That's like part of the problem is that I'm afraid that I'm going to be like, well, now you have to be great at this. What about you guys out there? Is there anything that you're like currently stopping yourself from doing because the voice in your head is telling you it's stupid or you can't, like, you're not good enough? Is there anybody out there doing that thing? And like, how are you dealing with it?
Oh, I have one.
Okay.
I have one.
What is it?
But definitely put it in the comments, y'all. I want to be one of those people who grows things, like green things. But I'm really scared because what if those things die? But I think that's just the part of the deal when you grow green things, you know? Like, how do you be a plant person?
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't have to be a plant person. Maybe I'm just me growing plants. I don't have to put it into my identity like that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's that's a like good hobby. And if the plants die, that's sad, but it's like a plant.
But it's not like
big stakes.
Right. Well, and if the plant dies, it's not like I'm a failure, even though it kind of like that's what the self-talk tells me a little bit. Like, oh, you obviously can't do this, so therefore you are a failure. So anyway, that'd be one for me. Okay, we are getting some comments, Emily. Let's see.
Herman said something I've had to deal with is being like, I can't do this because I don't have the drive or the motivation or brain to do it. I'm procrastinating taking steps to go back to school because of this negative self-talk. So it's like you're telling yourself you don't have the motivation to complete it. And then it becomes like self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because you haven't started in order to find out if you have the, like, I think, have to start somewhere. And even having the motivation to want to do the thing, that's motivation enough to try it, start it, do one thing, sign up, and see what happens. Give yourself a chance to make yourself proud of you.
Ooh, yeah.
You know? Because, I mean, I've been doing that with the greens thing that I mentioned, like actually eating salad. I've been like, I'm adding something to my life. I'm not taking away the chips. I'm adding lettuce. And I'm afraid, I've been afraid to do that because I'm afraid that I would fail at that, which is strange. But I've added something good to my life, and I gave myself just this week, a reason to be like proud of myself. I ate salad this week. I know that that's weird, but truly, give yourself a chance to be proud of you. Because I think you won't disappoint you. I know you, and I think you're pretty cool. You guys do it.
Nick 5555 said, then they die and thank them for the joy they brought. I think you're talking about green things, and I think you're totally right. Just, yeah, things can be here for a season and then leave, and it's still valid. It still brought something to you. Flowers,
I love that.
They'll enjoy them while they're here. Yep. And then they said, oh, I think this is a comment for Herman. Schedule a tour of the school. That could be baby step 1. Yeah. And it's interesting, like once you start putting your foot, like one foot in front of the other, like snowballs into like, now you're at school, you know, like now things start happening. It's just that first step that's so darn hard.
Dad says, I'm going to start playing guitar again. Do you know who Dad is?
I do.
My dad. Do it, Dad. You better start playing guitar again. Not like in a shamey way, but in, why not? Like,
yeah.
Tell me, okay, Dad, tell me what's stopping you from playing guitar. So I want to know, because I think there's this thing that happens with art and music where we start telling ourselves and everything, we start telling ourselves we have to do something. And I talk to my students about this all the time. It's like, it makes us not want to do it, even though it's something we love and want to do. My advice for getting frozen in that, like, I gotta go sing, I better go play the guitar, if I don't do it, then I'm an idiot, is to follow your joy and curiosity. Listen to some music. Like, think about something that makes you super happy about that music. And then see if you can pull the chords up. Take a look at them. See if you know them.
Yeah.
Start following that joy and curiosity, because if you're trying to negative self-talk yourself into doing this stuff, it's not gonna work out. You don't want to annoy people. But you already know that you're not going to annoy people. Also, just because you play guitar or you sing for a little bit doesn't mean you have to do it for hours. Anybody, roommates, neighbors, I have that struggle in New York because I can hear my neighbors and I know they can hear me. I sing less because I'm worried about it. I don't have to sing for 2 hours. I could sing for 10 minutes. I just have to follow that joy into it and be like, I'm going to sing through this song. I'm going to play this song just a couple times.
That's right.
And then, like I said, give yourself the opportunity to be proud of you, right? I'm proud of myself in that. That was cool. You guys, thank you so much.
This is so much fun. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Honestly, dear listener.